people use God's name for inexplicable and unjustifiable reasons. This is another one of them. Do you mind if I show you something on the screen real quick here? So do you know what you're seeing right now?
It looks like chicken.
Chickens, yeah, in a factory farm. Do you think it's right to put animals in that kind of condition? In the very close quarters, you know, cramped and that sort of thing? Yeah. Do you think this is where 95% or even more of all meat and dairy and eggs come from, is conditions like this, where they're sick and they're being fed antibiotics, right? And then they're cramped together in these conditions there while they're being transported to be slaughtered. Would you ever do this to feed yourself? Would you ever do that to animals? Stick them in cages and then kill them yourself? Sorry?
I would find that very difficult.
You would find it very difficult, eh? So, same here. I would find that very difficult too, yeah. But do you consume meat, dairy, eggs, cheese, milk, anything like that? Honey? Do you think it can be justified if this is what's actually going on behind closed doors to continue to pay for it? Like how would you justify doing that, paying for that?
I like it to be humane, but
yeah.
It's hard to. They're not always transparent. Like I try to get, let's say, free run or free range eggs.
Free range eggs, eh? So would you, like, from this moment on, never pay for factory farmed eggs or meat or dairy or cheese then?
It'd be hard because of my nutritional requirements.
What are they? What's your nutritional requirements, if you don't mind me asking? If it's not too personal.
I mean, like, just needing protein and iron, for example.
Yeah. Do you know where protein comes from?
It's from meat.
It comes from plants. It originally originates from plants, and then the animals eat the plants, and then the protein goes to them, just like that, and then humans eat the animals. So an alternative, like, you know how vegetarians, they don't eat animals, they still get protein, right? They get it from...
Some of them are not...
I've been vegan for 7 years, and you can see the size of me, right? Like, do I look sick to you? Do I look like I'm about to die and need a hospital?
No, I'm just saying that some people don't manage it well, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think the science says that people can absorb protein to a certain level, and you actually, if you're eating meat or animal products, you're actually consuming way more protein than you actually need, which can cause actual problems too, right? And then iron, obviously, that's a mineral that's found in the earth, and then the plants absorb it out of the earth, and then you can eat the plants for iron too, right? You can get it through animals, absolutely, but like I said, if you're eating too much of one thing, like through animals, you can get way more than you actually need, right? And if you take a look at, that's the health side of things, right? So, I mean, maybe it's just you haven't looked into it too much to research, or?
I guess.
No, eh? But like, let's just say that you could get all your nutritional requirements. Let's say that you've done the research and you've concluded, oh yeah, like I can. Is that the only reason that you wouldn't go vegan or become plant-based?
Not about enough, but that is one of them.
It is one of them, eh? Yeah. I mean, obviously, when you take a look at like what's happening to animals, I mean, we have all these vegan alternatives, right? Beyond Meat burgers, like
sometimes. So
sometimes, eh? So sometimes you choose it for your nutritional needs, right? Just not all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like I am open to it. It's just like I don't know. I just find. I mean, I guess it's looking into somebody being more familiar with it, just because. I find that when I do eat more meat, like I'm getting more iron.
Yeah. You can take iron supplements though, right?
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't like how there's like food coloring in it.
Or beans. You could eat beans. Beans have iron, right? Or pretty much any vegetable has a little bit of iron in it. So, like, I mean, I think it just for me, the reason is it started off with health, and I said, okay, well, I'm a big guy. How am I going to make sure that I get all the nutrition that I need, right? So I watched a couple videos, and I have a card for you that you can actually watch, and it has the documentaries on it. It's called We the Free. If you just go to that website, it has all it'll talk about nutrition, right? But what I really like to talk to people, and as opposed to people going plant-based, is why they should go go vegan, right? Because vegan for me, I believe it's an ethical reason to go vegan, right? Because we would never trade places with that animal. You would never want to be in a slaughterhouse, right? So when an animal, maybe I should ask you first, do you think animals, like, do they feel pain, or are they sentient? Like, do they experience life, do you think? Like a dog and cat, right? Like they love belly rubs, they like going on walks, they enjoy life, right?
Yeah.
Do these animals here also enjoy life?
Not there.
Not on a factory farm, but if they were, like, say on an animal rescue or in the wild, you know, where they were treated well and looked after, do you think that they could experience joy? So wouldn't we want to protect animals as opposed to oppress and enslave? Because I would suggest that this is oppression, this is enslavement, right? Yeah. So I guess in closing, like, can we ever justify doing this then, or paying for it? If we know that we can survive without the animal products.
See, I guess one of the other things is, what is it? Are there like slaughterhouses where they're raised humanely? Not slaughterhouses, but farms where they're raised humanely and they're slaughtered humanely.
Yeah.
The fact that they're slaughtered all, but like it's done in a humane way where it's like quick or whatever.
A quick, painless death and humane slaughter. Two things about that. So first of all, obviously it's not always quick and painless, right? I mean, even in a slaughterhouse farm, some of them miss the blade and they have to go into a scalding bath, and that's how they die, right? It's just from like asphyxiation, from just brutal torture, right? Like, so let's just take that out of the picture. Like, I mean, you can't feed everybody with quick and painless death. Second of all, would you ever want a humane, quickless, painless death against your time, against your will, and then end up on somebody's plate? Like, just put yourself in the perspective of the victim, right? They're the victim. They don't want to be quickly and painlessly die. Do you know how old animals are usually killed at? Just like a rough age?
2 or 3 years.
Do you know how long a cow can live in the wild if it were to live in the wild?
Is it 50?
25-ish, you know, give or take a couple 5 or 10 years type thing. But yeah, in an average lifespan of a cow is about 25 years. So they're being killed as babies. And I mean, like, they have the intelligence level of like a dog or maybe a 3-year-old child. So imagine you're a 3-year-old child or a 3-year-old child, because you were 3-year-olds at one point, right? You know? Imagine being taken into a metal shed and having a knife run across your throat because somebody needs to eat meat and you're the only one that's going to be able to provide that protein and iron to them, right? That's the lie that you're being sold, is that you can only get those things by doing this and paying for this cruelty. There's an alternative, right? Do you think that if you research it and you found that alternative, which I'm kind of talking about, do you think that would be better in line with your values?
I guess I'm moving away.
Yeah.
No, I shouldn't say moving away, but at least moving towards more plant-based alternatives.
Right.
I just don't know. I guess one is like, is it a lot of effort? And then I guess.
Sorry, I didn't catch the last part. What was that?
A lot of effort.
You would think that it would be a lot of effort, but the hardest part, I find, is just talking to your family about it. That's the hardest part for me. I mean, actually being vegan is very easy because you just go on YouTube and say, how do I eat vegan? And then there's like 80,000 videos. You find the one that you really like, the person that you really like, and they give you all the recipes. And believe it or not, if you eat vegan foods, it is cheaper. It is way quicker to cook because you're not cooking dead animal flesh that requires, to kill all the bacteria. You're eating plants. So, like, I mean, have you ever had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? That's way quicker than making a steak sandwich, right? Where you got to kill the bacteria, So you're actually saving yourself time, you're saving money back in your pocket, and you're helping these defenseless animals for having to live a life of cruelty. You know what I mean? So I go to that website. I gave you the card here. Type it in. Watch the videos. Some of them are pretty difficult to watch, okay? I'm not going to lie. But if you can watch this, ask yourself one question. If it's hard for me to watch this happen, why is it good enough for my stomach then? You know what I mean? If it's not good enough for my eyes, why is it good enough for my stomach? You know? And once you put and once you say that, you know what, I don't want to support this anymore, I don't want to support any kind of animals, because free-range animals still end up in the slaughterhouse. They still have to be abused, right? They get killed against their will. Then you finally make that transition to veganism, and you become part of a community where we're all going to be able to help you. And we are all online. We're all going to be able to give you recommendations about things to eat, you know, and how to speak with your family too, because I'm sure none of your family is vegan or vegetarian even or anything like that. Yeah. And that's I think a lot of times the hardest part for people is they're not able to find the words to say, like, this is the way I want to live. You know, these are my values, and they feel kind of like, no, you have to eat what I eat. You know, this is my culture. This is your culture. You know, like, is that kind of sound like how the conversation would go down in your mind if you decide to eat a different way, or?
I'm not sure yet.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it.
Yeah.
Another thing for me, personally, and that's why I was saying, like, if it can be raised and slaughtered in a humane way,
Yeah.
that be acceptable. And that's because, like, because I'm a Christian.
Okay.
So, like, I know the Bible, like,
Sure.
this is allowed, but
Right.
I can also see, like, well, let's try to treat them well.
Yeah, I understand the concept, right? You know, like, God put animals here on earth for us, you know, but
And not
why
just
would
there's the sacrificial system, right? So they sacrifice animals and they ate them, and, like, even Jesus did too, right? So that's the thing.
Yeah, and I would suggest that in a time of necessity, you know, because Jesus didn't have plant-based burgers to eat, he had fish, right? That's all they really had back then, 2,000 years ago. But in this,
Cattle and lamb as well.
sorry?
Cattle and sheep.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, they had fish, sheep. They had animals to eat because they needed to survive somehow and get the calories, right? But what are we doing in 2022? Do we need to do that? Because animals, like, I mean, if God really wanted us to eat animals, this is another way to think of it, right? He gave pain receptors to those animals. Why would he do that if they're just going to end up dying? Why wouldn't a compassionate God say, you know what, this animal here is going to feel all the pain in the world. They're going to suffer until the moment they die. But guess what? I'm a compassionate God, right? Does that make sense to you? Why would an animal, like, because you and I suffer, right? And God doesn't want us to kill each other.
I know, but I'm also thinking, like, we are different from them. I'm not saying that like animals are not valuable, but I'm just saying we are the image of God.
Right, yeah, and, like, obviously animals and us, we're not equal, right? But we are the same in the ways that matter. An animal feels pain, an animal has a family, animals can experience joy, they can experience love. I'm sure if you've ever been around a pet, you kind of know that's confirmed, right? They have those feelings and they have that sentience. This is wrong. This is, like, you can't, there's nobody that can justify this, right? Even in the name of God. A lot of people have done things in the name of God that, if we take a step back in history, you know, Hitler used God's name. Said, you know what, God is on our side. We need to kill the Jews. He said that. And all the people in Germany, well, most of them, the Nazis, believed him, saying, you know what, oh yeah, that's a great point, right? People use God's name for inexplicable and unjustifiable reasons. This is another one of them. After this conversation, unfortunately, I'm probably gonna have to go now, but has this kind of helped sway the needle at all with you as far as making changes in your life?
I'm going to definitely look more into it.
Excellent. Okay. What's your name?
Vicky.
Hi, Vicky. My name is Adam. So it was nice talking with you.
Same here.
I have to get out of here, but thanks for taking a couple minutes there to talk to me.
No problem.
Some great, if you just go to the website, there's lots of resources there. Well, thank you for your time there, Vicky. Bye-bye.